We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now, our World Broadcasting Tag Team Champions of the World and the Cruiserweight Champion.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 138 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. Of course, you can follow me at EthanMB95 on Twitter. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media.
Of course, you can follow the show at RealBTR Radio on Twitter and Facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes. And of course, YouTube. Just search up Beyond the Ropes and you'll find over 135 episodes currently uploaded. It has been an incredible week. Of course, last week we did the first episode of our special Too Big for One Night kind of WrestleMania edition coverage here. We talked about NXT TakeOver Night 1. We talked about the Hall of Fame a bit. On this episode, we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk WrestleMania Night 1. What a spectacle it was on Saturday night, April 10th. Of course, it kicked off with a bunch of superstars on the stage. We had Vince McMahon himself welcoming fans back to WrestleMania, thanking fans. We got a brand new signature intro to kick off the show. And then we got the America the Beautiful being performed. And then as soon as we went back, a delay occurred for about 30 minutes or so. And we had to see a bunch of impromptu promos, which is kind of fun, honestly, I thought. But go ahead, James.
Yeah, so just to kind of speak on that a little bit. So first and foremost, a good show, good weekend overall. But first of all, it was good to see Vince kind of out there. Obviously, the face and the father, the figurehead, more or less, of WWE over the last couple decades. So it makes me wonder: did they know that? I mean, they knew it was going to rain. There was a delay earlier, hours before the event. Those that had really shown up early to find their seats and whatnot at WrestleMania in Tampa, they had to kind of what do they call it? But then after they got back to their seats, the kickoff show starts. Everyone's hyped up, and then they do the Vince McMahon thing, and then it was just weird that they know there was a delay, because they went the whole kickoff without announcing a delay, and then sometime in between the intro, the end of the kickoff, and the intro into the actual show, there was a delay. So anyways, I was kind of nervous about how the whole thing was going to go, considering it's an outdoor venue. There's all the electrical things. You see Samoa Joe and Michael Cole in ponchos at one point, and you just don't know how they're going to spend this next, what ended up being a little over 30 minutes, right? But like you said, impromptu stuff backstage. I thought they did a really, really good job getting a few storylines through. I mean, they had the Shane stuff on there, and you can tell Shane kind of was like, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about here. But they kind of did that into a very nice transition where you had, I think it was Drew McIntyre, it was either Bobby Lashley, an MVP, or Drew McIntyre first. But they went into that very nicely, talked about that, obviously that being the first match in. So a nice little chance to give it one last push and build into a WWE title main event quality, star-studded match, however you want to say it, to kind of kick off the show. So I almost would say it kind of worked to their favor to kind of have that. And it was kind of a throwback too, I think, to a lot of what we used to see on the old Royal Rumbles back in the day, where they would do little promos and stuff before the actual event, something to get you kind of invested one final time. So I really kind of liked it. I hope maybe that's something they consider doing, but knowing WWE, probably not. But I did enjoy that 30-minute watching them. Maybe there was just maybe a little bit more of appreciation for it, because that wasn't scripted. I mean, even if it was prepared for, the fact that they still went through it and did it was great. So
Right. So we obviously had a big intro. I think they recycled last year's intro a bit, just updated it a little bit. They even have the same pirate voice and everything. As you mentioned, they made the announcement right away once they went to the commentary team. Byron Saxton's microphone went out, so he was off the first 30 minutes, but they got everything fixed. Once they were allowed back, or I should say before that, I mean, you mentioned Shane, Drew, and Lashley. They had, of course, our great leader, Seth Rollins, cut a fantastic promo. The New Day cut a promo as well. I mean, they threw to everyone they could. I believe Bianca Belair was also there cutting a promo. You can tell that nerves were spread out throughout these competitors, but they gave it their all. And I agree, it was fantastic.
I liked it, though. I liked it.
Impromptu promos there. We get into our first match roughly about 30 minutes after the delay. Of course, Drew McIntyre makes his grand entrance, and he takes on the almighty WWE champion, Bobby Lashley, in an 18-minute match, I believe it was. Solid kickoff. The first match in front of a live WWE audience in 1 year, 1 month, and a day. They made a specific note of that. So it was incredible. But let's get into this one. Ultimately, it was McIntyre performing 3 Future Shock DDTs. He attempted a Claymore kick, but ultimately it was MVP that distracted McIntyre when he called out for Lashley. Lashley took advantage to counter McIntyre and apply the Hurt Lock. And it led to McIntyre just passing out and losing the match. McIntyre not getting his WrestleMania moment in front of the crowd, but Lashley getting a WrestleMania moment.
So I thought it was a little funky there, the way they kind of went with the distraction there, because it was kind of like, hey, Drew, huh? And it was kind of like, okay. But it was what it was. I thought it was great. Many people kind of thought it was almost a given that Drew McIntyre was supposed to win for a few reasons. Obviously, finished the show last year on top, raising the title for the first time in front of a crowd of nobody. So, they even kind of said as he was making his way down the ring, they didn't even say, like special moment for Drew, because they pretty much kind of said, as a reward for kicking out, for ending the show last year as champion, that's why he was in the opening spot. Some people could say maybe it's because Bianca and Banks was maybe a more sought after match or whatever. People were more excited about that, whatever you want to say about it. But I think it was a good match, opening show match. Usually you're not trying to get 2 big guys to open the show for you, but those guys work pretty well together. It pretty shocking to actually see Bobby Lashley come through with the title. I don't know this for a fact, but I don't know if he was the first Black champion to walk in and walk out of WrestleMania as champion. But there's been very few Black champions as it is, so we will take every victory we can get. No, but good for Bobby Lashley, and nice to see after the build that he has had and the year that he has had, to see him on the other end of WrestleMania as a champion. Excited to see what comes next for him, and I don't think we're done with Drew and Bobby just yet, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so both James and Rob did correctly predict Lashley would be retaining the title. I suppose it's fine.
You want to tell us why you were wrong?
Well, I predicted McIntyre because he deserves it.
No, I know, but was it? And Bobby doesn't?
It's been.
Oh wait.
I don't know. They made him out to look weak. I mean, when he was sending loser locker room after Drew, it was kind of weak, honestly. But that's fine. That's fine. Next match was the tag team turmoil match, featuring 5 teams. Of course, we got the team of where the winners will go on to face the women's tag team champions the next night. We got the team of Lana and Naomi taking on Billie Kay and Carmella to start off the match. Billy Kay's an absolute gem. It's great. A standout in the early part of this match. Of course, they ended up eliminating my pick, which was Lana and Naomi. I didn't realize it would start so early, but they were out early. Next up, we had the Riot Squad come out, and they eliminated Billy Kay and Carmella with a gutbuster backstomp combination, which is unique, something I haven't seen before. And then we had Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, and perhaps the biggest WrestleMania moment of all time. Mandy Rose slipping and sliding down the entrance ramp. There was another slip later on in the match. I don't know if you caught it, James. It was by Dana Brooke.
I don't know if I did. Ooh. Of course it's by Dana Brooke. I was about to say, I would have thought if someone was going to slide down the ramp or fall down the ramp, it was going to be Dana. But apparently she got her slip in still.
Yeah, she got a little slip later on during the match. That screen had to be blacked out. Yeah, but the audience still got to see all that. All right, yeah. Moving on. Brooke and Rose were eliminated by the Riot Squad. The final team to enter was Natalya and Tamina, and the dominant duo of these second and third generation superstars ended up overcoming the Riot Squad to become the new number one contenders for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, this match was kind of a mess. You can kind of tell maybe it was put together at the last minute. But it was what it was. It got everyone on the card, which is cool. We can move on to the next match unless you have any other comments.
It was a messy match. I thought it was great the way they kind of Natty and Tamina, both with the finishers of their late father. There's obviously Jimmy Superfly Snuka and Jimmy Anvil Neidhart.
She hit the Superfly splash to get that victory there. So, all right, we'll move on to the next match. The next match, Cesaro, or as Rollins likes to call him, Zazaro, took on our great leader, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, of course, coming out to new theme music. Got some beautiful new attire as well. He's got the Barack Obama kind of artwork on his side with him on it, on the side of his trunks or his gear. Just fantastic outfit. Of course, I know James is a big fan of Seth. But this was a fantastic match. We got to see both guys just go all out. We saw Cesaro hit that UFO, which we've seen it before, but we don't really see it at all. This is kind of the alternate to the Cesaro swing, where he just uses his shoulders, no arms. And I mean, I believe he actually hit the swing for 23 rotations, which is more than the previous time. He ended up hitting.
Yeah, I think a new record for him.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
I said I think that was a new record for him, right?
For the Rollins one, it might have been a new record. I feel like we've seen maybe longer ones, but
maybe more. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he hit the neutralizer. I believe it took 2 tries. We got to see Seth bring out the pedigree, which we don't see very often anymore.
Didn't he get, I think I saw a tweet or something. I don't know if I missed this spot, but did he do a buckle bomb?
Seth did do a buckle bomb. Yeah.
Which I think after the Sting incident, I thought was pretty much.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's brought out the buckle bomb a few times after Sting and stuff. So it's all good. But in terms of both guys brought out some deep cuts. He brought out, of course, as I mentioned, Star with the UFO. Then Rollins using a twisting splash that we never see. I've never seen him use before. I know Corey Graves, I think, mentioned it, that he hasn't done that in a while. But that's really cool. So Cesaro ended up picking up his first victory at WrestleMania in a singles match, hitting the neutralizer on Rollins. So, of course, as usual, Seth Rollins being a giving person, helping out his buddy Cesaro there, get that WrestleMania moment. Although I feel like I could have sworn Cesaro and Drew Gulak had a match last year, but I guess they ignored that. That was on the kickoff show.
Yeah, kickoff show doesn't count, Ethan. Kickoff show don't count,
I know.
apparently.
All right, so great match. Let's move on to the next one. You guys did predict Cesaro to win. Of course, I don't bet against Seth Rollins, but it is what it is. All right, can't win them all. He's a new Mr. WrestleMania, by the way. He's coined himself the new Mr. Seth Rollins. He coined himself the new Mr. WrestleMania.
Why? He's lost like 2 in a row. I mean, not that Shawn Michaels had the best WrestleMania record either, but
Michaels is 6-11 at WrestleMania. Rollins has a better record. Has a better record than Michaels, by the way. Shawn Michaels is right here.
What is Seth's record?
6-2 or 5-2? His last two was only losses. Oh, 6-3.
Yeah, I think I do remember early on there was like kind of a talk of a streak or something, but
he's 6-3. Yeah, because he lost to Orton, but then he won that later that night. So that's when he won the world title. So, All right. So moving on, we got time for another match here. Let's talk about the New Day defending their Raw Tag Team Championships against AJ and Omos. Right away, I'll just say we all predicted new Raw Tag Team Champions. Not really a surprise. But the story of this match was basically the New Day taunting and basically cutting the ring in half with AJ Styles, kind of getting one over on him and keeping Omos out of the match. The fans really got into Omos, wanting him to get involved. And once he did, it was pure destruction for the poor New Day, as he dismantled the former WWE champion and the aspiring future King of the Ring, Xavier Woods. But yeah, it was a solid showing for Omos. We got to see AJ Styles hit a phenomenal forearm off Omos's shoulders toward the end of the match. And then Omos ended up doing this kind of pop-up, I don't know, what is it called? Slam, almost plunge type of drop that I think the Great Khali used to do on Kofi Kingston. And he pinned him with just 1 foot. Got the victory and got new Raw Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, we'll see where they go. I mean, again, a good showing for the team of AJ and Omos, but I don't know. The ring attire kind of threw me off a little bit. I'll tell you that much. But I don't know. He looked like he was still in his suit, but once he kind of got ready for the match, we're like, okay, I get it. But it was a good match. I mean, they kind of protected him a little bit, let him do his thing at the end. All 3 of those other guys in the ring are good workers, so and that was a good match for what they were trying to do.
Absolutely. It was a solid match. They told a great story. This was very story driven, without a doubt. So there was a great shot when Omos did get in the ring and both Woods and Kofi were kind of on the mat, and used the great camera shot, seeing their faces wide-eyed as he came in. So they all did a phenomenal part, no pun intended. But we're going to finish up on night 1 after this quick commercial break. When we return, night 1, of course, we're going to get into night 2 and why I had the best prediction of all. And all that and more right here on Beyond the Ropes. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 138 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. Of course, I am your host, Ethan, joined alongside the analyst, James Williams, and producer, Rob Flores. You can follow the show at Real BTR Radio on Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes, and YouTube, just search up Beyond the Ropes. You can follow me individually at EthanM95. You can follow James at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow Rob at
Rob Flores Media.
Great. Let's finish up Wrestlemania Night 1, shall we? Following the Raw Tag Team title match, we got a steel cage match between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. I mean, going into this, I don't think I didn't expect a whole lot. I don't know, James. I know you weren't too excited about this match. It was fine. You know, it did what it needed to do. Elias and Riker, right? Riker is his name. Got involved early on and throughout the match as well. It's not called the Van Terminator.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say.
Coast to coast, sir. And there was no weapon because technically it wasn't a Van Terminator. It was just a coast to coast. He just hit him straight, drop kick from across the ring.
Didn't he use the metal sheet? Or he didn't use the metal sheet?
He used not for the coast to coast.
Not for that? Okay. Yeah, the coast to coast is no weapon anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he usually will do sometimes he'll add a trash can or chair, but no, there was no weapon used for this coast to coast. Shane used a chair. He used a metal sheet at one point. What else?
Used a toolbox.
He used a toolbox. Yeah, he got from the top of the cage as he was trying to escape. And he was almost going to escape, but ultimately, Braun Strowman literally tore through the cage. Didn't expect to see that. He pulled Shane back into the ring. And then tossed him off the top of the cage. So Shane basically did a swanton bomb off the cage. He bounced as well. And then he took a power slam, and Braun Strowman picked up the victory. James and myself. James, did you predict?
Yeah, I had Braun.
I had Braun as well. Rob, of course, going with Shane. But looks like we won't be seeing Shane anytime soon. Quick note, as I mentioned, the Swanton Bomb. Sending our thoughts with the Hardy family. Both Matt and Jeff losing their father over the last week. So obviously Jeff was at a WrestleMania weekend, but sending our well wishes to them. WWE actually did mention them as well and give them their condolences.
Yeah, I thought so. Just going back to the match, I thought it was a good match. Nice spot. I don't think anyone's ever ripped through Kane's ripped the door off the Hell in a Cell before, but especially that big of a guy. I believe he standing on the ropes when he's ripping this cage off. So a nice little, I don't know if you want to call it spot there, but a moment there I thought was pretty neat. Having Shane kind of come through. I was wondering, based on how far down Shane was, how he was going to try and get him back over, but through the cage works as well. So yeah, nice spot there. There was the toolbox spot that they did. It looked a little out of place, like, oh, why that was planned to be there. But if you notice, they kind of have these new little pouches sitting at the very top of of each corner of the cage, which maybe they all had a toolbox. I don't know, but I thought it was a nice little touch without it maybe not being fully. It came across as a believable why that would be there for me. So I thought it worked out pretty nice.
All right, next match. Perhaps the match of the weekend for some people.
Yeah.
A lot of Bad Bunny fans out there. We first got the entrance of John Morrison and The Miz as they performed their hit single. Come on now. Hey, hey. It's Hop Hop, right?
Hop,
hey,
Hop or something.
Of course, we got to see, I believe it was 23 bunnies come out hopping to the ring.
Hold on. It
was probably the entire Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal sat there. We got to see Shinsuke was probably under one of those bunny suits.
Oh, I'm sure he was thrilled.
And then we got to see, of course, Miz and Morrison perform perhaps the greatest performance in the history of WrestleMania ever.
I've heard people disagree with you on that one. They've actually, that was the worst, not only performance but entrance at WrestleMania. That maybe would be a little debatable, but
yeah, it's debatable Bret Hart has
So,
made entrance before, so.
I don't know about all that. Okay. No, but the bunnies were a hot mess, to be plain and simple with you. One lost his head. I think it barely missed it on the
Almost.
camera. And yeah, had to get the head back on. Ears started popping off. Bunny's bouncing in the ring with one ear.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Come on, it was a party. Come on. So,
I don't know if they made Adam Rose proud. I don't know.
I forget. I think it was Renee Paquette who
I think she
said
did.
Adam Rose was under there. But anyways, Damien Priest made his first WrestleMania entrance, first ever. Congrats to him. And of course, Bad Bunny coming down the massive truck, making a huge grand entrance. And what a performance. I'm not going to go into great detail, but I believe he hit a Hurricane Rana that went several rotations. He hit the Broken Arrow, which is a Damien Priest move. They both hit at the same time, which is the suplex kind of sit-down suplex style move. He hit a Canadian Destroyer.
He hit a Canadian Destroyer. So I was like, I kind of looked away from the screen for a second, but I kind of caught it. And I looked back up immediately, was like, did he just do a Canadian Destroyer? Like, first of all, I mean, that's something maybe an AJ or Styles or someone like that would do. But I just didn't think that's a move that they would allow in WWE. But of all people, Bad Bunny gets as far as I know, is the first one to do a Canadian Destroyer like that in a WWE. Well, it wasn't even in the ring; it was on the floor. That it could have gone very, very bad, but John Morrison, being the pro that he is, took the bump well, and very shocking. And right after, I'm like, did I just see what I saw or whatever? I was very shocked. And then I think Corey Graves was like, Canadian Destroyer or Bunny Destroyer, whatever he said. I was like, oh, it really was. It was bizarre. I never thought I would see that.
Before he hit that, I believe he hit a crossbody off the top rope, and then to finish off the match, he hit. Priest was holding the Miz up, for kind of like a Doomsday Device type style, and then Bad Bunny went to the top, hit crossbody, and pinned the Miz. Props to Miz and Morrison. I mean, they obviously helped carry the match as well as Priest. But Bad Bunny also selling. He sold a lot. He did get beat up. It wasn't a one-sided affair. So. And the fans were all into it. They were siding with Bunny. They were into it, so that was really cool.
I think on a final note again with Bunny, I think it was neat to see what a lot of and I think they even kind of been saying some of this before the match and throughout the weeks leading up to the match, just the amount of respect that Bad Bunny showed to get into the ring and training and taking it serious, not showing up a week before. In between an SNL trip and a Grammys trip, he was traveling back and forth and was still making the shows the next night, and being there on Raw. I maybe he missed one or two, maybe, but I think he was there about every week. And he was training. They said he was out there training sometimes 3 or 4 hours at a time. Even Randy Orton, I think he was on the bump or the post show, or he was on something, and spoke very highly of Bad Bunny. Said he saw him in the ring training himself. Called him a WWE superstar. Randy Orton is a guy who's been there for a long time and a veteran, a leader in the locker room. And with all things considered, that's almost the same thing as The Undertaker, kind of giving you that nod and seal of approval. So to have a guy like Randy Orton put Bad Bunny over, and we know Randy Orton isn't going to do that for anybody, even if they've been in the business for a long time. Again, a little more with that. Obviously, Randy Orton probably took that a little bit as a shot towards his good friend Soldier Boy, who thinks wrestling is fake and whatnot. Obviously, Bad Bunny, I would assume at this point, it has, if not will, he either has, or I'm sure he did. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? He has already made more money than Soldier Boy. So in the music department, they even if they wanted to bring Soldier Boy in, they probably got a better deal with Bad Bunny at the end of the day. And while we're talking about Bad Bunny, they did come back the second night, which I thought was kind of weird. Maybe they would have kind of done it later on in night one. Well, I guess if it's like the second to last match, I guess it makes sense why they did it night two. But they took the time to announce his tour that is coming up in like 2023, I think it said. And I think that's actually
2022.
Is it going to be 2020? Oh, we're in 2021. Okay. So yeah, next year, 2022. So I thought that was neat. Triple H was a part of that. Kind of handing off it looked like a skull microphone or something. And they kind of had the whole truck that he used for the entrance to kind of play into that tour. I don't know if that was the first time they announced the tour. I'm sure it probably had been dropped and out there buzz leading up to the whole thing. But just it was a nice little give and take there, I think, between the partnership of WWE and Bad Bunny. So I think they'd be more than happy to have Bad Bunny back again, and maybe that's not the last time we see him. I mean, that match alone might have put him in the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so we all predicted Bad Bunny and Priest would win here, of course. We go on to the main event of night one between the challenger Bianca Belair facing the champion Sasha Banks. A very emotional night for many, including the two competitors in the ring. Even before the bell rang, they were getting emotional. This was, I believe, the first time two Black women were competing for a championship, especially in the main event of WrestleMania. And I think Michael Cole made a note of that as well, saying in the commentary.
Yeah, I think he did make a note of it. One thing I tweeted, and it kind of follows up what I said earlier with Lashley. You had two WWE World Champions walk into WrestleMania, two Black wrestlers walk into WrestleMania as World Champion, and then you still had two walking out at the end of the night, which was pretty special. Obviously, Lashley retaining, and the winner being a little different from the one who walked out or walked in as champion. Yeah. Obviously with Belair. So
this was a phenomenal main event, I thought. Probably my favorite match of the night. Actually, it was my favorite match of the night. I think they, without a doubt, carried a main event worthy match. We got to see a 450 splash attempt. There was bank statements. I mean, it was good storytelling throughout. They were kind of one-upping each other. And ultimately, it was... I think the story here was Banks was using Belair's own hair for much of the match to kind of prevent her from doing moves. And finally, toward the end, Bianca just used her strength. And we'll mention her strength that, she deadlifted Banks outside and carried her back into the ring using the steps and everything.
Yeah, right.
So it was intense, but she used her hair at the end, pulled Banks in for the KOD. Actually, before that, she actually used her hair as a whip, which sounded incredibly. It left a mark. It left a mark. It sounded terrible. And then hit the KOD, Kiss of Death, and became SmackDown Women's champion.
I think the thing for this match that stood out to me the most was the before and after the match. So before the match, like you mentioned, I don't even know if it was, within seconds of the bell ringing or before it rang, whatever, was really just kind of Belair trying to just hold it in. She was ready to cry, and I got kind of nervous for her. Actually, I hadn't gotten nervous for her before when just her making her way down the ring, down that same ramp that we saw one slip on earlier. She was skipping down the ring, which she normally does. And I was just like, please don't fall, because if you fall, it just would kind of be there the whole time. I don't know. I was just kind of worried for her. So everything went smooth. I was happy to see both of them kind of come down, make it to the ring safely. I think by the time Mandy Rose had fell earlier in the night, they had already kind of maybe covered their bases, I like to think, and were probably wiping down that entrance ramp quite a bit. But yeah, I think, again, so Belair, before the match, being emotional. Banks almost got a little emotional there. They both kind of gave each other the nod, like, yeah, we're here, we're doing this. And it took Banks, I think, when she kind of did the come on, you kind of see the come on from Belair as well. And I think it kind of really said, okay, like, let's just do it, let's just go. And once they went, and it was just like any other kind of match to them. I like to think just the way they handled it, the emotions were put to the side, and they did what they had to do, and it was great. Speaking of emotion, I talked about why it stood out to me after the match was all said and done. Just watching some of the backstage stuff, or the moments after the bell rang, later on Twitter and the WWE Peacock app or wherever they had the videos at. One was Sasha. Someone had tweeted a video from the crowd, I believe, of Sasha sitting at the barricade out of the camera shot and was hurting. Obviously we talked about the welt she got from the whip, but was smiling for Bianca Belair, which I thought says a lot about Banks too. One, Banks is now 0-6, has lost 6 matches. All 6 matches she's been in at WrestleMania. The reverse Undertaker. But so I think what that says though. I mean, you get asked to do the job 6 years. I don't know 6 years in a row, but 6 matches in a row at WrestleMania, and to say yes or to go through with it and to be the team player that she is. Obviously, she wasn't very happy with taking the loss, losing the tag team titles with Bayley to Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. But and there was a whole thing. It goes back to the podcast, if she was going to come back or her finding herself. So for her to be able to come back and still kind of do the job at the end, I don't even want to say do the job, because they both did really good in this match. So just to see a smile on Banks' face, just to see the raw emotion from Belair, obviously sharing the moment with Montez Ford, her husband, at ringside there. Her father was there. Just her on the golf cart going backstage and all that stuff. A great moment for her, and we'll see what happens with Belair next, and her career just getting started, her first title on the main card level. So should be fun, and we'll see where Banks goes from here too, because it's going to get to a point where she's going to start needing to get some wins at WrestleMania. Her Hall of Fame career already, more or less guaranteed as a lock for the Hall of Fame. Has done everything there is to do. But a WrestleMania win, she kind of needs more than one WrestleMania win at this point, just to kind of pad that a little bit.
All right. So when we return, we're going to finish up WrestleMania Night 2. And that's all we got and we'll be right back on Beyond the Ropes, episode 138. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 80.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 138 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. We're talking night 2 of WrestleMania. This time there was no rain delay, but we kicked off with Randy Orton versus The Fiend in the middle of the ring. And I told you this should have been a Firefly Funhouse match, and no one listened to me. Instead, we got the Jack in the Box come out and then loses to an RKO. Thanks to Alexa Bliss spitting out black stuff from her head.
Spitting out black stuff from her head. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what we got.
So
we all predicted The Fiend here, and we all lost. And honestly, I don't hate the ending, because it leads to a story, but, it wasn't a very well-received ending, to say the least, or a match at all.
I don't even remember that. I don't really remember the match that much. I don't really remember Orton at all. Like, I barely remember anything from the match other than a Jack in the Box. And I remember him standing up there, and I said, he better jump. Like, he needs to jump off the thing. And he did. I was glad he did that. Go ahead.
Orton did wear white tights for the first time ever. And for the first time ever, he didn't have his name on the tights, not the Orton. I think I did tweet that. It said RKO on his tights.
Yeah, the tights were because Edge kind of had matching attire earlier. I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't know if they went to the same seamstress or whatever. I don't know if they got a 2-for-1 deal. I don't know what the deal was, but they both went with the white and the red, and it's cool.
Good.
That's cool. It looked good. It worked. It's cool. And I think too, I was gonna say, maybe it's again kind of like Shawn Michaels Undertaker. Randy Orton kind of being the light, which is kind of not something you would think with Randy Orton as one of the darker characters. But it was just, to be honest, it wasn't even the whole thing wasn't about, like, none of it was about Randy Orton. Even him getting the win wasn't about him, like, which was weird. I thought he I don't know if I think I tweeted this out. I think Randy Orton deserved a win at WrestleMania because again, much like some people will mention maybe a little bit later in this show or in this segment, but again, when you look at someone like Bobby Lashley, and obviously Bobby and Drew both kind of had strong years, but so did Randy Orton, I thought.
Mhm.
And I thought he deserved to win. But again, the Fiend, what are we doing with the Fiend? Like, the Fiend's got to go at this point. The character's dead. I'm sorry. It's dead.
We're moving on to a different story with the Fiend. We'll talk about that. I mean, we probably won't have time today, but we'll talk about it later on. We're just gonna move on because I mean, it wasn't.
There was black goo, and I just don't know. That's how my brain felt after this match. Black goo.
Yeah, so they obviously went a different direction. Orton won this feud. He's moved on already. So
real fast.
Yeah, he moved on real quick. All right, next match we had Nia Jax and Shayna Bazer defend those women's tag team titles against Tamina and Natalya. This was an okay match. We got to see Tamina kind of rise up as a babyface, I guess. She got some people siding with her. Unfortunately, we predicted all wrong, right? I think you mentioned you didn't get any on night 2. So Jax and Bazer ended up retaining the tag titles. Good for Shayna. She got her WrestleMania victory after being defeated against Becky last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't think we need to go into that match. It was fine.
Well, I think we won't get into the match, but real quick, I was very surprised considering how long Tamina has been there that she had only won one title, and that was like in 2018 or 19 when she won the 24/7 title. I thought she had been women's champion or something before. So again, I thought that was kind of like, oh, she's gonna win. They're gonna win tonight, but no. Especially because I thought there was tension between Baszler and Nia, but I guess not. I don't know.
They're going a different direction with them as well, it looks like. So
yep.
All right, next match, we had Sami Zayn take on Kevin Owens with special guest Logan Paul. This was a fun match. They obviously were told just to go out there and kill it, do whatever they want, I guess. I think referencing to their Ring of Honor matches or PWG, whatever matches. So they got to do their stuff. Kevin Owens picked up the victory here, hitting a stunner. I believe we all predicted Zayn. So, I mean,
I don't know
why. This is a heel-heavy WrestleMania, and with a one babyface that won, we all predicted against. So, Logan Paul got a stunner for his troubles as well. Any quick thoughts here before we move on?
No, not too much. I guess I was kind of surprised Sammy. I don't know why I picked Sammy.
I mean, there was a conspiracy against him, so I was not surprised he lost, I guess.
Well, so. I mean, yeah, but it was a good match. Good match.
It was good. For the United States Championship, we had Riddle defend against Sheamus, and Rob was the only one to predict Sheamus winning here. I guess it's not surprising. He's put in the work for the last several months, so I guess you reward him, give him a WrestleMania victory. Riddle has seemingly had a rough couple nights, as we found out later on Raw as well. But I mean, good for Riddle having a WrestleMania match, his debut WrestleMania match. Again, a good match. These two have great chemistry together. Any quick thoughts here?
I really enjoyed the finish there with Riddle taking the bro kick. Good spot on kick right in the face, right in the mouth for Sheamus to Riddle, leaving Riddle bloody. Really a great match. And again, like you said, Sheamus deserved to win that title, especially after the year he had, as like I said, with some of the other guys. I think Sheamus is another one where he had a good year and did Triple H tweeted out that he remembers when Sheamus was the young guy 10 years ago, and was working with some of the older guys, and now he's the older guy working with the younger talent, and it was good to see for Sheamus.
And a bit of a bar reunion on Twitter with Cesaro and kind of congratulating his buddy Sheamus there.
Mhm.
Moving on for the Intercontinental Championship, we had a performance from Wale as Big E entered. And of course, we got Apollo in a Nigerian drum fight, whatever that means. It's basically a street fight. Good match, but I believe, did we all get this one wrong too?
Well, I know I did.
You did. Rob, I don't even remember.
I don't know if we had it written down, but
I think I got this. I predicted Big E at the last second as well. So I think we all got this one wrong. I think maybe Rob. I don't know. Rob. Did you predict?
we'll go back. We'll look at last week's episode.
Yeah, but we'll figure it out.
I think I said Apollo.
You might have said Apollo. You might have actually said Apollo.
I think he might. Yeah.
But anyways, we've got a new debut of formerly Raw Underground wrestler, superstar, coming in, destroying Big E, and helping Apollo get that victory, winning his first Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, I think it's like Dabba-Kato. I don't know if he's gonna go by that name still, because even after they did a post match interview and they said, "Oh, his name is not important, or he's not important right now. This is about me." Apollo was saying. So I think maybe they're still working on a name or something, or we'll see. But Dabba-Kato was his name, former NFL guy from what I kind of picked up on. Was an underground guy.
Is of Nigerian descent, apparently. So
yeah, okay. So it fits.
So yeah, good for Apollo.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see where they go with it. So yeah, again, though, real quick, in the pre-show, they still didn't know what a Nigerian drum match was supposed to be. Booker T tried to provide some backstory behind it.
Everyone kept their mouth shut.
which was neat, because I was just dying to see where Booker was going to take it. But I think, honestly, no one knew, because they're like, it's a Nigerian drum match, you know? Like, no one knew. Like, it was weird. So I guess it was kind of cool, I guess, that they actually had Nigerian drums out there or whatever. But
he explained it as you're going to get a beating like a drum. Basically, that's
right,
kind of,
which
makes sense.
But I'm just, okay, I don't know.
All right. Next up, we had the Raw Women's Championship match. Of course, Rhea Ripley got her entrance performed by artists. I don't have her name, unfortunately, but she sings. She's from the band New Year's Eve, and they performed her entrance. Asuka making her entrance, and much like Sasha Banks, unfortunately, Asuka, I mean, is defeated at WrestleMania. She has not won at Mania either. I believe
4-4.
0-4, I believe. Unfortunately for Asuka. I predicted. Who did we predict here? I think we all predicted Ripley. I did not switch. I said I.
Oh, that's
I
right.
For the option.
You
switched. Asked for the option, and I didn't make my official prediction. I said, could I switch? I didn't actually say I switched to Rhea Ripley, sir.
I'm actually kind of surprised that you didn't go with Asuka originally, but
I love Asuka.
I mean, that's why I know you're a big fan, so that's why I was kind of surprised that you didn't kind of go with her to begin with. But a good match, good showing on both women's part, and I thought nice to see Rhea get a victory here.
Sure, making up for last year's loss against Charlotte. Obviously, we're gonna see some type of maybe triple threat in the near future between those three. In our main event, Edge versus Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. And I mean, I should win predictions here. I mean, I just alone in this match, because I mean, you guys predicted Edge here, and I said, and I quote, Roman Reigns does not lose.
Yeah,
Roman Reigns did not lose.
Roman didn't lose.
In fact, he pinned not one, but both guys. I did say Edge may walk out with the Universal Championship. I did say that. I also said Roman Reigns doesn't lose. So, and he pinned both competitors on top of each other just to silence all the critics. And now I want to give this time to you guys to acknowledge Roman Reigns as your tribal chief.
I thought Roman did a great job, a very definitive win by him, obviously pinning both guys. He's Ethan's tribal chief, and yeah, but in all seriousness, it was a.
This was phenomenal.
It was a good match, good spots. A lot of people were saying maybe they could have done without main event Jay, but when you have the name main event in your name, you gotta put him in a main event spot. No, I thought it was good for Jay too. Again, another guy who's kind of done a lot throughout this past year, obviously working with Roman and stuff. But I thought it was nice to see him win the SmackDown, Andre the Giant, WrestleMania Battle Royal, whatever. But again, to kind of get a little bit of a rub here as well from this match. Maybe a little too much interference. Mainly when I'm thinking of a triple threat, I mean, maybe there's still maybe that doesn't automatically mean it's no DQ, but
I mean, it's implied.
I don't know. It's kind of applied, but they were kind of making sure they got that in there. I don't know. It was great stuff. The ending was kind of shocking. I thought maybe it was a little flat for me because when he did kind of go and pin both, and they counted three, I was like, oh, that's it, like that.
It was shocking to many people. So I'll kind of revise some of the match points here. Of course, we had here. I mean, Jay interfered with hitting both Edge and Bryan with a super kick. Edge hit the execution, which is his DDT on Jay, taking him out for much of the match with steel steps until the end. Bryan hit Edge with the running knee a couple of times. He locked in the yes lock, and Edge broke the hold, putting in the crossface, and then both Edge and Bryan had poor Roman, our tribal chief, in the submission there. It would have been interesting.
With the chair,
and
the chair piece in the mouth, yeah. And that photo, that shot there will be something that will kind of stay with this WrestleMania for sure. As one of those moments we remember.
Absolutely. And then moving forward, Jay returned. Oh, Edge. I mean, there was a table spot. I think Roman powerbombed Bryan onto the table, take him out for a second. Edge then was planning on hitting concerto to both. He used a chair on both guys. He hit the concerto on Daniel Bryan, taking him out. And then as he was going for Roman, of course, main event Jay Uso got involved, taking him out. And then Roman grabbing the chair and hitting the concerto on Edge. And it's ironic because on the previous SmackDown, I mean, Edge did say Roman was Samoan Edge, basically, with the career he's had, coming in with the three-man group, coming through the crowd, kind of some of the tactics Edge uses. And then he got a concerto for his troubles. And then Roman dragging Edge's body over Daniel Bryan and pinning both guys. And again, as we mentioned, you look into the crowd, just a shocked WWE universe. I was surprised as well. Of course, 10 years to the day Edge announced his retirement. I mean, it would have been a moment. Honestly, I would have been happy with that moment, but
I really thought that. I mean, how that's what kind of made it so great, though, having Roman kind of win it, I guess. Or making it just making it a heartbreaking kind of a moment there for Edge, where I mean, how it doesn't get any better than that. You can't write a story any better than that. And they could have, but they didn't. 10 years to the day of you retiring and giving up the title, and you decide not to go that direction is kind of ballsy in a way.
Yeah, so I mean, they did mention. I mean, they did make a post that, hey, 10 years later, he's in the main event of WrestleMania. That's still a big deal, nonetheless. Of course, we wanted that happy moment, but I'm totally okay with Roman. I mean, here, we get to continue this amazing story that he's been kind of carrying since SummerSlam as a Universal Champion. And it seems a lot of people are on Roman's side, because I tried buying that new shirt, the Acknowledge Me shirt, and they're all out of my sizes. They only have them in large. So now I got to wait. Of course, I did buy some Undisputed Era merch, but, I have to Acknowledge Me t-shirt now. So
was it on the clearance rack?
Some of it was. They do have some of it. No, it was like the War Games merch. It wasn't all of their merch. It was just the War Games stuff. They do have a new shirt that does say "End of an Era," which is I'll get that later. But when I go on sale, Roman Reigns, great main event there.
Oh yeah, definitely a great main event. All three of those guys did really well. Just a quick few other notes before we kind of wrap up the show here. Just looking ahead at the Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania, we had the Viking Raiders return, and we kind of mentioned Charlotte returned. They went back to the crowd with to the Thunderdome at the University of South Florida. So we're not jumping right back into crowds right away, which is kind of interesting. A lot of people weren't very happy with the Raw after WrestleMania, which is usually very hyped. But obviously the crowd kind of has a lot to do with that. Obviously without the crowd there, they kind of just trying to recover. I think a lot of people who were actually on WrestleMania weren't even really on Raw. A few other notes I'll just throw out there. Randy Orton ties Kane and Shawn Michaels for a third all-time with 17 career WrestleMania matches. Triple H is second with 23, and The Undertaker is number one, of course, with 27 matches at WrestleMania. Also worth noting, Adnan Vert, who was a broadcaster at ESPN, but was, I believe, fired from the company a few years ago for what did he do? He did something. Oh, I think he was like leaking out. I don't know. He was doing something. He did something he wasn't supposed to do. You guys can look it up. But anyways, he's the new play-by-play guy on Raw. Tom Phillips is the new host of 205 Live and will oversee some other special projects for WWE's programming on Peacock and some other stuff at the Performance Center. And he's also the senior manager for on-air talent, which I thought Michael Cole might have been. It sounded like a Michael Cole role. I don't know what's happening with Michael Cole, or if he's just on SmackDown. I don't know if I'm drawing a blank there. You can answer that in a minute. But Samoa Joe, at the end of that press release, Samoa Joe remains part of WWE talent roster. That doesn't say on-air talent. So are we going to get Samoa Joe back in the ring? Remains to be seen, but that might be a possibility. Those are some of the notes I had. Just curious to see where Samoa Joe goes.
Yeah, so definitely the aftermath there. Of course, NXT is now on Tuesday nights. We didn't talk about NXT TakeOver Night 2. Obviously, we're short on time. It's fine. We might mention it, sprinkle it in future episodes. I will say it was just a great show. We got a new NXT champion in Karrion Kross. The Undisputed Era feud continues. Phenomenal main event. Adam Cole, of course, and Kyle O'Reilly. WrestleMania was a great night. Bayley made the most of it. I mean, she appeared. We didn't even talk about the host, Hogan and Titus. Overall fun shows. And until next time, we'll talk more about this and much more right here on Beyond the Ropes. This episode has been absolutely too sweet.